Hello.
Hi! Oh my god, we've been recording season 4 for so long. We haven't, just sat down and talked. I'm so excited to just have, a normal Zoom call with my friend. What's going on with you? Are you oh my god, I've been, through the job application process. I have, a lot of news, actually. You might notice, something new on my finger. It's just a new ring. It's not an engagement. Haha, that was just a little joke for you. I'm just so excited to be talking normally without doing anything, without having any tasks, not having to talk about Chuck.
Well, Erin, I have some good news and some bad news.
Okay.
The good news is that we're here together and we're both happy and healthy and safe.
That's true. I'm so happy that we're happy and healthy and safe.
And I guess it's not necessarily bad news, but there are DVD bonus features that we need to talk about.
What?
The season 4 DVD bonus features.
Okay.
That's right. Season 4, it's not over. We may have talked about Chuck versus the cliffhanger, but we are far from done talking about season 4. My name is Chris Gillespie. Hello.
My name is Erin. Also hello. As we've said, this is the longest season of Chuck, and it was a wild ride. I quite enjoyed it, but I am excited to be moving into season 5. And I jested in our little cold open. I am happy to talk about these bonus features. I think there's a lot of interesting content that we really need to sink our teeth into.
Yes, it is a tradition here at Go Chuck Yourself once we finish the season to look over the bonus features, which come included with my DVD set of Chuck. So we are looking at the season 4 bonus features, and spring has sprung here at Go Chuck Yourself, and what better way to celebrate than by staying inside to watch DVD bonus features from 2011.
Yep, watching the sun just go through the sky outside my window as I sit here and watch Zachary Levi fart.
Well, at least you can see the sun outside of your window, because I have blacked out my curtains and everything.
Yeah, I see that.
So you can see me, because if I had my curtains open, you would not be able to see me because of all the light. So I am sitting in a dark room talking about DVD bonus features of Chuck here with Erin. Listener, maybe you are out and you're doing something fun. Maybe you're going for a walk, or you're going for a car ride, or you're doing some springtime yard work, and
you're kayaking, you're training your dog or cat.
Yeah, I guess those are also fun springtime activities. If maybe you're going for a socially distanced walk or get together, but that would be kind of rude if you're listening to a podcast while hanging out with someone. Maybe you should put us down and focus on the person that you're with.
Yeah, damn it.
Pay attention to them. Come on. So this is an exciting bonus feature episode. Longtime listeners of the show know that, look, we've struggled with these episodes for a long time. I think that, so the history of the bonus feature episode was that, I have the DVDs, Erin does not have the DVDs, so it kind of would be that I would watch the bonus features. I mean, originally I would watch all of the bonus features and the deleted scenes, and then kind of report back, do a book report, if you will, on these things. And I have to just talk at Erin about it as Erin stares at me with her blank eyes, just wanting to die because she doesn't know what I'm talking about. It just kind of has to go off of what I'm saying. And then obviously I figured that it made more sense to incorporate the deleted scenes into the actual season rather than talking about them after the fact, which I think was
great idea. Groundbreaking.
A good idea. Thank you. And following in this tradition of good, innovative ideas, when I was talking to a friend of the show and host of Temple of the False podcast, our friend Andy Stalker, I had said, these bonus feature episodes, I feel bad because I have the DVDs, and Erin's all like, I streamed the episodes, and so she doesn't have it. And he's like, why don't you just share your screen? Why don't you just watch the DVDs and use the technology that exists in 2021.
Andy is a genius.
Yes.
The old VLC media player bringing us together once again.
So, yes, I could have been doing this the entire time and did not think of it. But I guess that is just a testament to how acclimated we all have become to virtual hanging out and using the technology that we have to form meaningful experiences. So, Erin, this is your first time watching DVD bonus features. How did it feel?
Well, I was just, I don't want to go back too far into what you just said, but I just realized that, well, you, of course, should have been screen sharing this whole time, and it's a very good idea. Thank you, Andy. It has come to my attention just now when searching it that if you had given me the names of the bonus features, they are all available on YouTube. So,
well, look, the ball is dropped.
Something that we learned here at the end of season 4 of a 5-season podcast is that something we, better late than never.
You live and you learn, and you get better at doing the podcast after 4 seasons of it.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to the season 5 bonus features, which we're just going to knock out of the park.
We're going to do so well.
Quite frankly, Erin, if you want to go back and rewatch the bonus features from previous seasons, we can do that. We're going to have time on our hands.
That's
true. So just let me know. I don't want you to feel like you've been missing anything from your Chuck experience.
Oh, well, Chris, I really don't feel like I've been missing anything, to be honest with you. To answer your question, I did genuinely enjoy watching the season 4 bonus features. I think that it was, although I don't feel like I was missing anything in previous seasons, I do think it's an interesting element. We can get into it more with the individual elements that are part of the bonus features, but I think it's very interesting how there are ostensibly small documentaries, but the actors are still sort of in character. I don't know if I assume that there is some level of Chuck, Morgan, or Zachary and Joshua are similar to their characters enough, but there's also I feel like they're playing up those elements a little bit to have people who love the characters love the actors as well. So I think we can get into that, but I thought that was a really interesting element that I, having not seen any of these before, hadn't really thought about.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course we had the Jeff and Lester, not documentary, actual additional Chuck content that was just kind of supplementary to the beginning of season 4. That was interesting too. Interesting to see what they were up to while they were on the run.
So we have specifically what we're going to be talking about, the bonus features. Erin touched upon them just now. So we have what is called Buy Hard, the Jeff and Lester story, which is a 5-part series of these 3-minute long mini episodes following Jeff and Lester before, I guess, the start of season 4, it seems.
Yeah, I would assume because they're talking about how they burned down the Buy More and are on the run.
Right. And then we have Chuck versus Directing, which is is the mini documentary about Zachary Levi's experience directing Chuck versus the Leftovers from this season. And then we also have Operation Gomez, which follows Joshua Gomez as he spies on the rest of the cast and crew. And then finally, we have everybody's favorite. That's right, the bloopers.
It is bloopers are fun. It's difficult to talk about in a podcast medium, to say, haha, and then Sarah messed up her line. But we'll talk about it.
Bloopers are not something that you can really consume secondhand, but we'll, gosh darn it, try our hardest to force those bloopers into your ears and to make you understand what we saw, to make you live the experiences that we've lived. So kicking it off, we have Buy Hard, Jeff and Lester story. This is the installments are spread out across all of the DVDs, so we had to pop those little DVDs in and out of the DVD player. And
how was that for you? Was that fun?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fine.
Okay.
Felt like I was like a DJ or something. I don't know why. And now that DJs they put CDs and stuff, or they used to.
DJ, yeah.
So Buy Hard is I guess I don't know, do you want to talk about it like episode by episode, or are we just talking like larger overarching what the story of By Hard is?
Let's tell the overarching story and then like stop as we go to like lay out moments that really stood out to us. Because I have a lot for the first episode, but then my notes kind of like go downhill.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us what happens in the first episode?
Okay, so in the first episode, Jeff and Lester are living in Jeff's van. They are on the run, ostensibly due to the fact that they think that they burned down the Bymore and everyone is out to get them. You may remember that from the beginning of season 4, end of season 3. Their only respite from the horrors of being on the road is, you guessed it, Halo. They love Halo, and they they're playing it with a generator. Like, they have like a big screen TV outside hooked up to a generator. Is that accurate, would you say?
Yeah, that is what they are doing.
Okay. So this is the point where the 5-episode Jeff and Lester mockumentary becomes a commercial for the newly released Halo Reach game. The plot of the remaining 4 episodes will be Jeff and Lester making an attempt to acquire Halo Reach through their various misdeeds and capers. But I wanted to talk about some things in episode 1 of this little thing that stood out to me. Lester refers to toning his hairless body. I thought that was just a nice line. He also says that living with Jeff is like a jar full of olives with all the olives eaten. I don't know if that stood out to you, but I thought that was like a T.S. Eliot level metaphor, I would say.
It is. It's kind of a very literary allusion here in a bonus feature.
Lester refers to Friendlies, which, as I understand it, is like a New England specific chain. I know that they have extended to New York and stuff, and Lester is from Canada, but I don't know if Friendlies ever made it to California, and I didn't research this at all, but that was interesting to me.
Did he refer to Friendlies? I missed that, I guess.
He said something about his, like, Friendlies punch card or something. I don't know, like, maybe whoever wrote this is from the New England area. And then just 2 last things about this episode. This episode, I don't know when in the continuity of season 4 they made this, but they do imply that Lester, not Jeff, is psychic. Or Lester at least says, I knew I had ESP, which I thought was interesting because, as we remember, Jeff is the one who's psychic later in season 4. And then my last note is a question for you, Chris. Do you think that this is scripted, or do you think that it's improv?
This appeared to be scripted to me.
Okay. There were, like, certain moments that just felt like, I mean, I'm sure it's some combination, like, the actors have been working together for so long, they can, like, probably improv some things, but there were moments where I wasn't sure. I imagine, like, the arc, like, I imagine they didn't come up with, let's advertise Halo Reach on their own, but, like, the jar of olives and the hairless body and, like, individual lines just felt like throwing them out. I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely kind of seemed a little bit more loose than a normal episode. I'm sorry if I'm distracted now. I'm looking into the
history of Friendlies.
Yes.
Was it ever in California?
Not in California, but apparently, like, definitely in New England, and then kind of in the mid-Atlantic region, New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, and then South Carolina and Florida. Okay. So someone maybe from the Northeast, or Florida, I guess, anywhere on the East Coast. But love Friendlies. Actually, I think one of the last times that we dined together at a Friendlies a few years ago.
True. Yes, that was a while ago.
Yeah, now Friendlies, a lot of them are closing. And it's very sad. I enjoy Friendlies. We'll have to do some kind of telethon to save Friendlies. All
right, we'll work on that. I think it's been multiple years since that's been happening, but we'll come in at the end.
We'll save them right at the end to get those little ice cream sundaes that look like little monsters. People in other parts of the country will be very confused by.
Yeah, but Lester will not, because Lester has a Friendlies punch card.
Great.
Okay, so I keep doing that. Episode 2. What are your thoughts?
So in episode 2, Jeff and Lester arrive at the Buy More in Encino. Am I saying that right? It's not Encino? Encino?
No, it's Encino.
Encino. Okay. Hello, I speak Californian. I'm at the Encino Buy More. The Encino Buy More, looks a lot like the Burbank Buy More, which is not
but
crazy.
Stores look similar to each other. That is a thing.
The stores look similar, so it's not that crazy. They enter, and there's a lot of people who are in line waiting for the midnight release of Halo Reach. Even though it seems to be in the middle of the day, could be in the afternoon, not really clear.
I was a little confused about that.
Jeff and Lester are walk in and they're wearing these kinds of cheap Master Chief Halloween costumes to disguise because they are allegedly the most wanted men in Buy More, and they would be recognized by the other sales associates. So they're wearing these Master Chief costumes. Jeff has some kind of weird I don't know exactly. He goes into this kind of trance where he's seeing things like he's playing Halo in first person.
Yeah. They refer to it as Halo Vision.
This is apparently something that happens because Lester seems to know how to snap him out of it, or he tries to snap him out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they eventually kind of get their stuff together and they decide to cut everyone who's in line, right in front of them.
Yeah.
Not in any kind of sneaky way. They just cut the line.
No one's really that upset about it.
I was wondering at this point if I was was this intentional? Is someone going to call them out for cutting the line? Or is this just the main characters are moving to the primary space and we're not supposed to think anything of it? Oh, but someone calls them out on it. They get called out on all right, by none other than Big Mike. That's right. Big Mike pops up and he says, "No cutsies and no butsies." And he thinks they're strangers, but then he recognizes Jeff and Lester's sense. And he takes their masks off and reveals that it's Jeff and Lester. And Big Mike he's stunned. We don't know what's going to happen. And I think at this point, I was kind of, these are a little nano episodes, but I thought it was pretty impressive how they seem to incorporate a cliffhanger into each one of them.
They did, yes, they do. Something else that they incorporate starting in episode 2 and continuing out through the season is a little recap, a very short recap of what's going on. I was wondering, who do you think is narrating this? Doesn't sound like any of them. It's not when the actors say previously on. It's someone I like to imagine. It's Josh Schwartz or Chris Fedak. I don't think it was. I'm sure if we looked at the credits, we could determine who it was. But I thought that was very funny. It was a deep-voiced audio person.
The voiceover lent a level of seriousness to this very silly thing that made for a good juxtaposition. So when we pick up episode 3, we learn that, I guess we don't really learn anything, but we kind of just continue the moment Jeff and Lester have realized that they have no reason to listen to Big Mike because he's not their boss anymore. And in a sign of disrespect, they refer to him as Large Michael, which I thought was pretty funny. A sales associate named Ruben comes over and says that he's taser certified.
Yeah, he's got a taser.
Because Big Mike, Jeff, and Lester are starting to fight, and they're pushing themselves, each other around and causing a scene. So he threatens to tase all of them unless they leave the store. But he does tase them, right? And then they leave.
I don't think he actually tases them because they don't fall to the ground or anything. I think he just turns on his taser in a threatening manner. I mean, I understand that Halo Reach being released was a big deal for many people. Mm-hmm. But it is kind of shocking that a store employee would be trusted with a high grade weapon that could damage someone in that way.
I admittedly not familiar with taser laws in the state of California. I also, I've worked in retail in varying capacities. I've never encountered a situation where anyone was allowed to carry a taser, let alone threaten customers with it. But who knows? Maybe that's what happens in California. Erin, any insight into that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, if you walk into Rite Aid, all the people have tasers. It's just kind of the way things are here. In Texas, we're just glad we're not in Texas, because in Texas they have guns.
Right. So in California, everyone's walking around smoking their legal pot and shooting off their tasers and wearing flip-flops. Yeah,
that's pretty. And then don't forget, they just have whole avocados in their hand, and they're just taking a bite, skin and all. That's California.
Do people do that? Is that a joke?
Bite into avocados with the skin on it?
I mean, people eat apples, you know?
That's very different. If by people you mean squirrels, I have definitely seen squirrels eat avocados with the skin on, but I don't know about people. That was a joke, but you know, California.
I don't know. I've only been to California for like 72 hours. I don't know how things are there, so.
That's true. Okay, well, you'll have to come for season 5 and we'll figure it out.
And we'll eat avocados by the handful.
Sounds great.
So back in Die Hard, Big Mike, Jeff, and Lester have been expelled from the store, and now they're back in the van, and they realize that they each need Halo Reach for some reason. It's going to fulfill some kind of promise in their life to get this video game. Mm-hmm. So Lester formulates a plan to break in and steal Halo Reach from the Encino Bymore, and at this point, I was thinking this is a very elaborate, earnest product placement for Halo Reach. Like Big Mike, Mark Christopher Lawrence is like delivering a performance where he's almost on the verge of tears, saying that he needs Halo Reach.
Yeah,
I was like, this is very strange.
I don't know exactly why the people behind Halo Reach agreed to this, or if they asked for it. I would like to know the impetus of this as a concept, but that's a mystery. We only know what we have.
There might have been some kind of deal where it's like Microsoft will underwrite the season or sponsor the season, and we get, they get a certain level of product placement, and then also like the stipulation where they're advertised in the DVD content. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we all know that Chuck, like when they're asked to have product placement, they go all the way with it.
That's right. And it was effective because here we are. We're still talking about Halo Reach now.
We are, yeah.
Free advertising. I think it's probably on Steam, I guess. Go check out Halo Reach on Steam if you want. Or GameStop, get it at the used game section for your Xbox 360. I don't know. Episode 4 of Die Hard. I was excited. Erin, why was I excited at the beginning of episode 4?
Well, they realized that the only and best way to get into the Encino Bymore is through Chris's favorite location in the world, the air ducts.
The air ducts, they're back. That's right. The air ducts are so pervasive in season 4 that they are even prominently featured in the weird bonus product placement bonus content.
So this episode begins sort of something that will continue throughout this episode and the next, which is something that I don't really think is a plot in the rest of the show, Chuck. Obviously, Big Mike is called Big Mike, but I never really thought of it in a, like, fat-shaming context. I never thought it was, like, a reference to his weight exactly. I just thought he was, like, a large, imposing man. But this episode presents the fact that Big Mike is worried he will not be able to fit through the air ducts, to which Jeff suggests that they can butter him up. Big Mike says he's going to go through au natural, which I thought meant that he was going to go through naked. Did you think that too?
Yes, I did.
But as we've established, these seem to be similar air ducts to the ones in the Burbank Bymore, in that they are very big. So Big Mike has plenty of room. He looks essentially like he is standing in crawling in a pretty normal room space. Like, it's not really like a tight squeeze at all. We also learn in this episode Big Mike's motivations for wanting the Halo Reach game, and he says that nothing gets bologna frothing like playing Halo, which, if you just think of frothing as like a nice, maybe not nice, but if you just think of it as like, she's excited, like that's, but if you think of it like in the literal normal use of frothing, like froth on like a milkshake or a drink or something, then it gets really gross and really upsetting. And I don't think that we should be talking about Morgan's mother that way.
I think this graphic descriptions aside, I think that this kind of provided a little bit of insight, because I feel like throughout season 4, he didn't really talk too much about Bologna too much.
Yeah, other than like she wouldn't let him go to Vegas. That was like one of the main times we've talked about her.
Right. So the fact that this introduces the fact that Big Mike and Bologna are having these kinds of issues, it kind of explains, or provides context for the rest of the season when he's not really talking about her that much or discussing his rampant vivacious love life with her like he used to describe in previous seasons. So
do you think that frothing is grosser or less gross than diddling on a scale of 0 to 5 corn dogs?
I think frothing I think is probably has to take the cake. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That is a jarring description. I think my brain's broken now.
Yeah. So much like Chris's brain, the air ducts break under presumably Big Mike's weight, which is a little bit upsetting. But Jeff Lester and Big Mike crash through the air ducts directly into the midnight release for Halo Reach.
And when they wake up, Jeff is like again having like a Halo vision, and he swears to destroy the Covenant, which are the bad guys in Halo, and he starts freaking out, and Lester tries to lead Jeff out of the store, but Jeff's in too deep. And then the store manager of Encino comes over and he either thinks that they work for Microsoft, Jeff and Lester, or he's trying to convince everyone in the audience that Jeff and Lester work for Microsoft and that this was some kind of planned promotional stunt. But he eventually just gets so fed up with Jeff and Lester and just wants them to leave because he thinks that they're actually costing him sales. So he asks what it would take for them to just leave. And Jeff and Lester say that they need 2 copies of Halo Reach. So the store manager just hands them 2 copies of this video game, which
why not?
Presumably costs like $50 or $60. And he's concerned about losing sales, but he's not against just handing out free copies to people. So he gives them copies of the game and they leave. So then back at the campsite, Lester kind of has like a direct-to-camera testimonial where he says that all is right with the world. He explains that Big Mike is back home making love to Bologna because of Halo Reach. And he and Jeff are having fun getting ready to play Halo Reach. So then we see them sitting in their recliners out in their like weird living room campsite. And the main menu of Halo Reach is about to start. The cutscenes are over. They're about to start the game. And then they lose power because they forgot to get more fuel for their generator because they were too busy trying to get Halo Reach. So they can't even play it.
That is Buy Hard.
That's Buy Hard. That's the story of Buy Hard right there.
See, it's actually funny because when I heard Buy Hard, I thought, oh, of course, that is a reference to Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. Which I didn't realize until like pretty much just now.
That it's a reference to Die Hard would be the more obvious comparison. Yeah, okay.
I was thinking outside the box. Way outside the box. Well, that's like a music documentary, right?
It is. Have you seen it?
No. You referenced it because Gary Cole is in it, right? Was that when you
No, he's in Talladega Nights.
Oh, okay. You know, Will Ferrell comedy.
John C. Reilly comedy, actually, Erin, if we're being specific.
Is Will Ferrell in Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'm just confused about my mid-2000s comedies.
It's okay. I will say that I had not seen Walk Hard until sometimes during lockdown. Mm-hmm. And I watched it and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually very funny and it's an underrated comedy.
All right, I might give it a little watch.
So when we were watching Buy Hard, Seth entered the room and Erin asked for his feedback on Halo Reach, which was what?
Did you write it down? Because I didn't. He said he didn't like it.
Yeah, I think it was, quote, I don't like Halo Reach.
Yes,
which
it was it was short and to the point. Yes. But his answer was very much ready, right on the edge of his lips. Like, he didn't even take time to think about it. I said, what do you think about Halo Reach? And he said, no.
Right. He got to the point. That was aligned with my understanding of Halo Reach around when this episode would have aired. 2011 was kind of when I was somewhat involved with Halo. So I was familiar with Halo 2 and Halo 3. I never owned Xbox because I'm a PlayStation guy through and through. And then I would play Xbox with my friends. They were really into Halo. So I do remember when Halo Reach came out and it was hotly anticipated. And the memory that I have is that everyone was disappointed by it. The hype did not actually deliver, and everyone was kind of underwhelmed by Halo Reach.
This is one of those times when you're speaking and I have the, what did you say, glazed eyes, dead eyes, whatever you said at the beginning of this episode. I'm just, what are they reaching for? What's the reach?
I don't know.
Okay. A follow-up question. Do we think that Buy Hard is a reach, or do you think that they have reached what they were reaching for?
I think they reached what they were reaching for. If what they were reaching for was having people say Halo Reach a lot, because we have said Halo Reach a lot.
Yeah, if you were taking a shot every time we said Halo Reach, you'd probably be pretty drunk by now, or dead.
Right. And so it makes people think about Halo Reach, and obviously paints Halo Reach in a desirable light as something that will be not only give you a fun night to play video games with your friend, but also as a, panacea for your sex life. If you have a struggling relationship, get Halo Reach and reinvigorate your sex life.
Although, they don't actually play Halo Reach. The thing that is being advertised as reinvigorating is the other Halos, and then also acquiring Halo Reach. So what will reinvigorate your love life and cause you to bond with your friend is buying Halo Reach, spending your hard-earned money on Halo Reach, actually playing it. The Buy Hard story does not address. Just to be clear.
Halo Reach, it's available for $10 on Steam. Check it out, I guess.
Oh, that's pretty cheap.
So we will move on from that. I'm sure we'll say Halo Reach sometime later in this episode, but if I say it one more time imminently, I will lose my mind. So let's move on into Chuck versus Directing, which was a 15-minute little brief documentary about Zachary Levi's experience getting behind the camera, getting into the director's seat for his second episode directing. His first episode directing was Chuck versus the Beard. That was season 3. Now we're in season 4, and he's directing Chuck versus the Leftovers. My
first note about this is I still don't really understand what a director does, other than, this doesn't really explain the role of a director beyond my understanding of, stands behind the camera, sits in a director's chair, and yells action and cut. It doesn't really offer any more input. What it does offer is, Zachary Levi's sister and dad are present. I have to assume, they don't really explain this, but I have to assume maybe he invited them to set for, his directing, for moral support, because they're obviously not in the episode. I've never seen them before. Have they been present in other bonus features before?
No, I don't think so. I haven't seen them before either. I don't know if they were just on set for that particular day, or if because maybe they're part of his entourage, Maybe that's true. They're just always there. Maybe he pays them to help out.
I thought it was very interesting because his sister references his morning routine and how he, every time he wakes up, he watches Cartoon Network, and she referred to specific shows. I think she said the Flintstones or the Jetsons, one of those that he was watching. And it brought up the question of, does he live with his sister, much like Chuck Bartowski lived with his sister Ellie?
Whoa.
If she's in his entourage, that makes sense. If she was staying maybe at his apartment or in a hotel room or something, but it was very interesting that she brought this up.
He's a fan of these classic cartoons. I think that kind of translates into, or is visible in some of his performances, I think, in Chuck, and I think probably in Shazam, maybe. There's a kind of cartoonish quality sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He also likes skateboarding around set.
He does, yes. He lifts up wires, he zips under and over them. He was having a great time.
Apparently something you can do when you're the director and star of a television show. You can just skateboard around whenever you want. Everyone, cast and crew, obviously they're probably not going to say anything critical about the star of the show and the director, but they all had glowing things to say about his performance as a director.
Linda Hamilton, in fact, says that he's the best director she's ever worked with, which I have to assume is sarcasm and not that she is dissing James Cameron, but she does say it. It's kind of interesting because we start off and there's kind of an ironic, they're sort of dissing Zachary Levi, and then they're kind of saying he's too into it, he's not into it, And then, like, by the end, they've kind of, like, come around to, like, he's a great director. We're having so much fun together. But it was very interesting because this was about 15 minutes long, a little less. And there's kind of, like, an arc to it. And there's obviously, like, comedic elements, and sometimes the people interviewed are being genuine and other times they are not. And it was kind of interesting trying to piece that together, you know?
Like who was just being jestful and who was being passive aggressive.
Yes.
They did talk to pretty much all of the entire cast, basically.
Yeah, Timothy Dalton was there. I expressed to Chris that I don't think I've ever really heard him in an acting role. I don't usually, like, watch interview videos with him. He really just sounds like Volkov. Yeah,
it seems that his Harvey, no, it's not Harvey. Hartley Winterbottom, his real name. Seems like that's pretty close to how he is. He seemed like he was pretty. Yeah,
he seemed like a nice guy.
They talked to Yvonne. They talked to Adam Baldwin, Joshua Gomez. They talked to.
Were you going to say the crew?
Yes.
Yeah, they talked to, like, the key grip. They talked to hair, makeup. They talked to sound. They talked to the AD. They talked to the director of photography. Talked to a lot of people.
Yeah. They talked to the script supervisor. All of these people have names, which we did not write down because that would have, I guess, caused us to or necessitated us to pause what we were doing. And we were just too enthralled. We were just
cruising through. We were so enthralled. Something interesting that comes up, which I think is meant facetiously, but I thought would have been an interesting plot line, and I don't know if it was there somewhere along the line, was Casey makes a joke about the sexual tension between him and Chuck's mom. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if somewhere along the line they were actually thinking that, I mean, it would be kind of messed up because then the family would become so insular that, like, everybody is related to everybody. But I do wonder, like, they're kind of similarly aged. Right. And I could imagine a world where they would think it was funny that, like, Casey becoming Chuck's stepfather.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come up. I assume, like, I feel like I can imagine that it was a plan for season 5 and then they just couldn't get Linda Hamilton again. So they just give Casey a different love interest. But I could imagine it happening.
I could see it in the realm of possibility if you, as like from a writing standpoint and thinking that could be a direction to go in.
Yeah.
I think that was also interesting because they kind of reiterated that working on set like this, you know, could be anywhere between a 14 and 17 hour workday, which is truly staggering. People have to work so hard for any kind of media production. It's crazy.
It aligned with what Jesse Hyman told us about his experiences.
It did. Go listen to our Go Fernando Yourself episode if you want to hear more about Jesse Hyman's experience. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the cast and crew were kind of saying that they imagine that Zachary Levi must be like during a normal week or season or episode of Chuck that he's probably pretty baseline exhausted. And so they were all like, we don't know how he's doing this. Like he's directing and starring in an episode. Like, how is he still functioning? Because it sounds like a lot of work because they said that he had to, in the previous week, he had to not only like star in the episode, but then also do the prep work for the episode that he was directing. So it's like doing 2 jobs.
Yep.
And then he is doing 2 jobs again and starring and directing at the same time, which is just crazy.
It's very impressive.
But I guess a lot of the cast and crew appreciate that because he brings a actor's perspective to the director's role, and he knows the show inside and out, so he knows what makes a good episode. And I think both of his episodes, I think, like looking back at the, you know, we're not totally at the end yet, but I think like looking back at the series as a whole, I think the 2 episodes that he directed are certainly standout episodes.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Chuck versus the Beard and Chuck versus the Leftovers, I think, we both really enjoyed a lot. So I think he does a good job. He knows what he's doing, and he's probably exhausted all the time.
Yeah, hopefully he's since in the 10 years since, hopefully he's gotten a rest.
Yes. And it seems like they just, you know, all the people have fun and they enjoy working together and they have a good time making Chuck.
Yeah. And it was heartwarming. It was nice to see.
Yes, it's very heartwarming.
So something that's maybe a little less heartwarming, or maybe a little more. We'll see what you think about it, Chris. Operation Gomez, which the plot of this is this is kind of one of the things I mentioned where it is Joshua Gomez, but he is kind of adopting a Morgan type persona of being like very interested. It's very similar to his character in that he's like conducting spy activities. Like he's been inspired by the content of the show, and he is now like acting as a bodyguard and seemingly being like manipulated by Adam Baldwin to like clean his gutters and whatnot, while Joshua Gomez actually thinks that he is like acting as a spy or bodyguard for Adam Baldwin. He runs into trouble with some of the cast and crew as he's like taking covert pictures. He's has some trouble, like he's picking locks, he's like diffusing bombs, but actually they're not really bombs, like that kind of thing. And he's talking about his experience and how it has led him to view threats everywhere in the world and want to protect his on-set family. I thought it was interesting thinking about why they did this. And I have to assume that like people like the character of Morgan and like to see his hijinks, so they thought they would combine like the real world with like some Morgan character motifs, because maybe like I'm sure Joshua Gomez has some elements that he shares with Morgan, but maybe they felt that they needed a more comedic bonus feature and that like people would engage with it more if like he was very similar to his character as Morgan. But I imagine it's like weird to make one of these where you have to like be yourself but also kind of act like your character and like what that line is.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find this interesting?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was thinking like it's not exactly, but I was thinking it's sort of along the lines of like Curb Your Enthusiasm, where it seemed basically all improvised, and there were, Joshua Gomez is in it playing a version of himself, and then Zachary Levi, Adam Baldwin, and Yvonne are all in it playing versions of themselves, clearly improvised, which I thought that they did. They all did a really good job improvising, which is obviously, a testament to their skills, but also their chemistry and friendship that they have to be able to do that. I did think it was kind of hard to follow because, like you said, like it's more Joshua Gomez adopting characteristics of Morgan, and so the distinction between the actor and the character is kind of blurred in this weird way that makes it kind of hard to know what we're supposed to be laughing at or what the joke is, kind of. Whereas in the Chuck versus directing, they kind of obviously people behave a certain way on camera, and maybe that's similar to how they portray their characters. But in this one, it was kind of more like, is this, where are we supposed to believe that the actors are like their characters? Are we not supposed to believe that? Yeah. I think what kind of stood out to me was that this was more in the vein of the other bonus features I've seen from previous seasons, where it was kind of like, this is not that entertaining or funny, and it kind of just feels like filler that they had to say, like, we need to put something in the bonus features. So it kind of seemed like this was getting filmed the same time during the same episode. Yes, I
was going to ask you that, because they show some of the same scenes from Chuck versus the Leftovers.
Yeah, so I don't know, this is maybe like a self-involved way of thinking of it, but when I was watching this, I was like, oh, this reminds me of something that it would be like, me and my friends would have filmed in like high school, and we thought like, we came up with the idea in the morning and then we filmed it in the afternoon, and like, it was way too long and we thought it was good, but then when we show it to people, no one else enjoys it or likes it, and there's like, that was kind of weird. So I kind of feel like it could have been a similar thing where it's like, hey, the film crew's here doing Chuck versus directing. We also got to film something else. Why don't we do something with Joshua Gomez pretending to be a spy? And so it felt very half-baked. And then obviously the elephant in the room that we have not yet discussed is how
we got to touch on it.
Operation Gomez concludes throughout the it's like 10 minutes or so. Throughout the thing, we see the shot of Joshua Gomez planting some kind of device in a bathroom, like above a shower somehow. We're never really led to believe, we're not told whose shower this is. It's not like the set shower, like it's not Chuck's apartment shower. It's just looks like a normal hotel shower. And we find out whose shower it is at the end. And it's in Yvonne's trailers, or what we're led to believe is Yvonne's trailer bathroom. And Morgan, sorry, hard to make the distinction in this case. Joshua Gomez has planted cameras in Yvonne's bathroom, and that is the joke.
Yep, and she is not happy about it. That seems to be the comedic crux of like what this as a short is building up to. And we are treated to multiple shots of Yvonne asking for the footage back, asking if Morgan has watched it, and then the short actually ends with her chasing Morgan through the studio lot, demanding that he give the footage back. So it's rough. It's not really something that I think that should be made light of. I also like have a vague memory of around this time there was some like actual peeping Tom putting cameras in bathrooms and dressing rooms in the news around 2010, 2011. So the fact that they're making a joke out of it was not great. I think that they are leaning heavily on the dynamic of like, we're all just having fun here, and like this is kind of funny, and like Morgan is harmless. But it was very jarring to see that be like the beat they wanted to end on and spend like a good chunk of this short on. It was pretty disappointing, I would say, in something that was. It went from like boring and kind of nonsensical to like, oh wow, this is dark. This is actually bad. So that was my thought on that.
And that once again, like that, just I guess the whole thing just felt very immature to me, because it was like, that's what I was like, oh, I feel like this could have been filmed by teenagers in 2011, and where it would, to your point, go from kind of weird and nonsensical and boring to all of a sudden very offensive. That kind of sounds like the teenage film creation process. So that's Operation Gomez, and
that's Operation Gomez.
Then we have, that's right, the bloopers. It's the gag reel. Pretty solid gag reel. I know I guess you haven't really seen any of the other gag reels, even though you could have YouTube them if I gave you a heads up, but I didn't. This is pretty good. Pretty solid.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was surprisingly sexual. A lot of the gags that happen were people making sex jokes, people like humping things, people at one point Joshua Gomez tells, I'm so sorry that I don't remember off the top of my head the actress who plays Alex, but he tells her he wants her inside him. And everybody is just in hysterics about that because, of course, a woman could never be inside of a man. That's not how sex works. And there's a lot of nudity references, sexual innuendos, a lot of, like, messing up lines, a lot of going, like, a lot of flatulence, I would say. More than I was expecting. I haven't seen these before. Do the other gag reels have that much going on?
Flatulence? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I
was surprised.
I guess it must happen, you know?
I mean, I imagine it does happen. I was surprised that there's not really like a level of embarrassment about it. Like, people are just burping and they're just fine.
I guess it's when you, once again, work with people for 14 to 17 hours a day and are under extreme stress, then you probably start to just kind of break down a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I enjoyed, there was a scene of Bonita Friederse opening a bottle of Yoo-Hoo for Joshua Gomez.
Yes. She was having fun in these bloopers. There was another scene where she had, I'm not sure what, she was sitting at her desk and she had like things in her ears, like pencils or something. Like she was just goofing around, and that's fun because we don't usually see Beckman goof around.
Yeah, no, she's very silly. Zachary Levi, his phone went off during a scene.
I was shocked that he had that on him.
Kids these days and their phones, am I right?
I know.
They some good scenes with the sheep when
that
Zachary
was
Levi
yes,
and
that was
Timothy
very
Dalton
nice.
with the sheep. So very enjoyable, surprisingly sexual and surprisingly stinky is how
Yes.
we would describe the bloopers. So now it wouldn't be an episode of Go Chuck Yourself if we didn't do Chuck, Marry, Kill. So we're gonna do Chuck, Marry, Kill for these bonus features. Erin, out of all these bonus features that we've viewed today, what would you like to marry?
Okay, so I have two Marys. We obviously watched a lot, so I think I deserve to pick two.
That's fine. I will not oppose that.
Bonita having fun, I thought was adorable, because again, we don't really see Beckman having, doing gags, so it was nice to see, her personality as an actress coming through in these moments. And I also really liked Zachary Levi's dad. He just felt like such a dad. I know we have a lot of dad listeners, and he just felt like dad, he was just kind of awkward, and he was just I could imagine my dad delivering that where everybody else is kind of joking around, being a little ironic and fun, and he's just Zach really loves to be on both sides of the camera. He just was very genuine and kind of sweet, and it was really endearing.
It was very endearing. It was kind of I guess I recognized that as it was happening, but I didn't really know how to articulate it, but that's what it was. And it's kind of he was talking to he was at a parent teacher conference and he was talking to his teacher about what Zachary Levi's goals are. And it's he really enjoys being in front of the camera, and I think he wants to get some experience behind the camera as well. And it was just adorable.
It was very cute, and I just I'm sure he's very supportive of his son. I don't know the extent of their relationship, the extent of his understanding of Chuck or what was going on in that specific day. But it was just I could imagine my dad in that situation where he's supportive, but he doesn't really understand what the joke is here. He's just kind of being genuine about it. It was just really cute.
Zachary Levi's dad kind of looked like your dad.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at him again, but I could see that.
I think he looked like your dad crossed with Chevy Chase. Is how I would describe him.
My dad has actually, he said that people have told him he looks like Chevy Chase before, so.
Really?
Makes sense. What is your Mary?
Yeah, I guess I just enjoyed the whole Chuck versus directing thing, overall. I thought it was really nice. I think it's really interesting to see how the sausage gets made, and it was kind of cool to see all the different, even briefly get to meet all the very hardworking people that are behind the scenes of Chuck, the set costumer. There's a person and a team who have to take photos of every character all the time and write down what they were wearing, so in case they need to do reshoots they can, because obviously we over the course of Go Chuck Yourself, we like making fun of maybe some goofs or whatever, but overall they all do a really excellent job, all these people. And so it was really cool getting to see that they all have a role in making it happen and delivering a pretty sweet product at the end of it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Speaking of less sweet products,
I wonder if we're gonna have similar thoughts here. Erin, what would you like to kill?
Is yours also the Morgan, the whole Morgan thing really, but particularly the bathroom thing?
Yes.
Is that where
yes.
Okay. So there's not a lot more to say that we haven't already said about it. I just think that that particular moment was jarring and offensive and upsetting, and portrayed for laughs, all in good fun, and haha, isn't it funny that Joshua Gomez would do this, and that Yvonne Strahovski would get so upset about it and chase him around, and it's just goofs. But I don't think that it's pretty much the equivalent of a rape joke, which here in 2021 we try not to make anymore. We kind of know that's a bad thing. So that was upsetting. And then just the general vibe of that whole short, I thought was confusing and not really that interesting. It was my least favorite bonus feature available. I wish they had done something I don't know. I wish they had either done something informative if they had to fill space they could have done something like completely genuine, explaining how something works, or they had gone farther into the direction of the buy hard thing and had it be completely fictional. This kind of weird middle ground didn't really work for me in this instance.
I agree with Erin 100%. I would also kill the whole Operation Gomez short for the reasons that Erin just very eloquently explained. So now moving into, I thought we agreed not to say Halo Reach anymore in this episode. This is for today only. We're doing the Halo Reach scale. I guess Master Chief presents the Halo Reach scale, a celebration of all things Microsoft. Erin, how many copies of Halo Reach would you give this collection of bonus features?
I'm going to give this collection of bonus features 3 copies of Halo Reach. I thought that... so that's about, like, if it's purchased at the original release, I'm giving it about, $150? But now I'm giving it about $30 if we're assigning a monetary value. I thought that, like, what we've said already, I thought that there were some... I don't really want to say highs, but there were some, like, pretty interesting. I thought that Chuck versus directing was informative. I thought the bloopers was good. I even thought Buy Hard was fine. But I think that Operation Gomez does bring my total enjoyment of it down. I will say for all of these things, I liked that they were relatively short. It wasn't, like, a bad way to spend a morning. Obviously, they're not going to be, like, as interesting and entertaining as, like, an actual narrative episode of Chuck, but I thought that, like, it wasn't... based on the fact that our other experiences of this are me just, like, listening to you describe things that I haven't seen, this felt a lot less like a chore than I was expecting it to feel. So, 3 copies of Halo Reach.
I would also give this episode 3 copies of Halo Reach.
Cool.
I think that these bonus features are enjoyable enough. I think that, I'm obviously hungry for more behind the scenes content, and I could watch a whole documentary about that. Like, if Chuck versus directing was 90 minutes long, I'd be down to watch that. I think it would be really interesting. Mm-hmm. But compared to previous seasons bonus content, I'd say that this was pretty much, on par with everything, because they tend to have some kind of equivalent of Chuck versus directing, like a non-fictional kind of behind-the-scenes thing, and then they have some kind of sillier, fictionalized stuff. The Buy Hard Jeff and Lester story I thought was surprisingly enjoyable, considering it was Jeff and Lester and could have been really bad, but I thought it was actually pretty pleasant. And Operation Gomez didn't really care for, but that kind of is aligned with the other bonus features from the other seasons, where there's usually something that's just kind of feels like filler content that is kind of boring and feels like they just kind of put it on there because they have some kind of obligation to provide some kind of content, even if it was not going to be great. Because, obviously the creative team for Chuck is focusing on actually making the episodes in their 14 to 17 hour days. And they don't really have time to write other content for just the DVD customers who are going to buy the set afterwards. So I had a good time overall. Some things I thought were, could definitely have gone without, but overall, blooper reel thought was pretty solid. Yeah. And I think it was pretty fine.
I think it was great. Well, good. I think it was good.
It was okay. Just like Halo Reach. It was fine.
It was fine.
It was okay. I'm curious now about Halo Reach. I don't want to say Halo Reach anymore, but now I'm like, do I pay $10? Do I buy it on Steam? I don't know. So now we have the lesson of the week. Erin, what did you learn?
I learned, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but I'm going to say it again. If your sex life is, as Big Mike says, fizzling, Halo Reach can bring it right back up to frothing.
And this week I learned that the cast and crew of Chuck, they're just like us. They're just regular people, just having a goofy time, farting all over the set, having their phones go off.
That's true.
They're just normal people and doing what they do. So
stars are just like us.
They regular folks just doing the thing. So That's the moral from all of this, is just the regular folks doing their thing.
Yep.
Season 4 bonus features. So we will be back in, I guess, soon with our season 4 recap episode where we talk all things season 4, kind of put that to bed. So that will be coming up in the near future. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed these bonus features. My name is Chris Gillespie, reminding you that food is sexy.
My name is Erin. So close.
Hey, there's a blooper right there.
That's
we'll put that in our own blooper reel.
My name is Erin Arata, letting you know that anything is possible.
Yep. Now I am going to finally open my curtains and see what remains of this beautiful day's sunshine. And look at that. The sun is already setting. Great. We'll see you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. As always, a big thanks to the artist Hatakoa and the fine folks at freemusicarchive.org for providing us with our theme song, Warm Up. If you want to drop us a line, you can reach us at GoChuckYourselfPodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Go Chuck Yourself on your preferred podcast platform. New episodes come out every Monday morning, and you do not want to miss a new episode. Thanks again. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.